The reality of the Texas Rangers in 2024 hasn't been very fun. So what if we explore an alternate reality where I get to say what happens to the 2024 Rangers?
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the World Series champion Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan covering this team for 11 seasons, including all 6 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, before we get into today's episode, this show is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Now, after last night's game, I was just incredibly frustrated yet again by watching the Texas Rangers play baseball. I mean, just 3 hits, no walks, nothing going offensively. A decent start by Cody Bradford, and I could get into the ins and outs of, is Cody Bradford going to be a starter, and that's important. And John Gray getting activated off the IL only to come out of the bullpen, and then the Rangers actually saying who is going to be on starting today's game. This morning, I believe it was, they waited till they said Andrew Heaney is going to start this game, and they also placed Tyler Mahle on the 15-day IL with a precautionary shoulder soreness. It's just, I don't want to talk about this big league team and the reality of 2024 today. I hope you'll excuse that. If you want to hear a podcast about me talking about the 2024 Texas Rangers offense sucking and everything else going terrible, and maybe eventually they're going to turn around, but why haven't they done that? I might steer you to one of the 150-ish episodes that I've done so far this year. You pick one at random after a loss, and you'll probably hear similar talking points because I have exhausted things to say. So I am living in an alternate reality for the rest of this episode, where I get to write what happens, where you, hopefully, if you are a Texas Rangers fan, will enjoy this reality, kind of inspired a little bit by my MLB The Show 2024 franchise, though I'm not going to steal exactly what happened there. I haven't quite finished the playoffs in that season, so we don't know if the Rangers and their 133 wins in that reality are going to be World Series champs. But let's just go with what happens in my reality. Let's start with the preseason. Now, the biggest change of what happens in this reality versus the one that we actually live in is that in this reality, somehow, Chris Young finds a way to invent time travel. He goes into the future. He uses that time travel to consult with the medical teams of the future and bring back technology and doctors to fix all baseball ailments immediately. Not just better the technology, but every baseball injury, boom, gone. No injuries, nothing. So Jacob deGrom starts the season healthy. Max Scherzer starts the season healthy. So does Tyler Mahle. So does literally everybody. And, in his benevolence, he shares this technology with not only the baseball community writ large, but also the world, because that's the kind of guy that Chris Young is. So I appreciate that about him. So the Rangers head into the season looking fantastic. A rotation of Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer, Nate Eovaldi, Tyler Mahle, and Andrew Heaney. A solid top 5 in your rotation. John Gray starts the season in the pen as a nasty, nasty reliever, as we have seen him be at times. Unfortunately, not as much last night as we had seen at other times, but I digress. The Rangers start the year on opening day, on opening night against the Cubs. The schedule's not going to change. That's going to be pretty constant. Maybe a few things in their record might change. But overall, I'm going to try and kind of follow a little bit of what kind of happened in our reality. But the Rangers start opening night. There is no one else playing. It is only that game, a showcase. Here are the reigning World Series champs in their beautiful, resplendent World Series champion uniforms. And what do? They absolutely obliterate the Chicago Cubs. A gem from Jacob deGrom, 6 innings of work. But the Rangers in their offense, they do something bad. And by something bad, I mean they score too many runs for Mr. Jacob deGrom to come out there and try and throw a complete game shutout in his first start of the season. Because the Rangers break their own franchise and MLB scoring record and score a whopping 35 runs on opening night, saying, yeah, we're not just a one-time fluke. We're better. Wyatt Langford looks amazing, has a multi-homer game in his first MLB game. Corey Seager has a 5-homer game, saying, yeah, I'm that guy. Been that guy. Going to continue to be that guy. And Jacob deGrom can't go out there in the 7th inning, but the Rangers shut it down. 35-2 final score on opening day. And the Rangers kickstart the season with a 10-game winning streak. Then they drop one, and then they fire off another 10-game winning streak. This team is absolutely on fire. They head into the All-Star break. Yeah, I'm just skipping all of the rest of April and May because the Rangers are just beating the bejeepers out of every single team that they play. Not undefeated, but still a historically good record, looking like, oh yeah, there's a reason we won the World Series last year, and now we're better, and we're healthy, and we have all of this beautiful technology so that the UCLs of Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer and every pitcher on the earth can stay healthy, and there is nothing wrong with Corey Seager. There is nothing wrong physically with Adolis Garcia or Marcus Semien, and Josh Young doesn't get hit in the wrist, and Evan Carter's back chronic problems are chronically fixed. There is nothing wrong with that. Everything's right in the world. The Rangers head into the All-Star break just absolutely on fire and have a record 9 All-Stars from their one team. Yeah, that's right. You heard me. 9 freaking All-Stars. That's right. Semien, Seager, Garcia, Young, Wyatt Langford, Nathaniel Lowe gets his first All-Star nod. Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer, and Kirby Yates also get All-Star bids. And I am sitting there angry that Evan Carter somehow didn't get an All-Star bid, and also Jonah Heim somehow didn't get an All-Star bid, and Nathan Eovaldi also didn't get an All-Star bid, but also I'm just kind of sitting there cackling because the Rangers have 9 All-Stars at home. And during All-Star week, Ray Davis finally bestows a contract extension to Mr. Chris Young. 10 years. Well-deserved. Don't know why it hasn't happened already, at least a 2-3-year extension for the reigning World Series champion GM, who is a hometown kid who pitched for the Texas Rangers and led them to their first ever World Series. But I digress. We're not living in the real reality. We're living in this nicer one, where the AL All-Star team dominates yet again, looking absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, Josh Smith also got snubbed from the All-Star team in this reality, but he's still having a nice season. Not quite the season that he's having now, but still nice season from him and Ezekiel Duran. Just a nice season from pretty much everybody that is on the 2024 Texas Rangers, because this is my reality. This is the reality I would like to live in, not the crappy one that I am stuck in where the 2024 Texas Rangers aren't good. But I digress. We hit the All-Star, we hit the trade deadline, and well, I'm going to keep things similar to how they actually happened, except for different reasons. The Rangers sit there 20 games up at the All-Star break. They head into the trade deadline on a little bit of a skid, but still, overall, pretty solid record. Don't need much. They add the exact same trades. They trade away Michael Lorenzen. They add Andrew Chafin. And they also add backup catcher, who happens to be the same guy who they got this year. But it's only because they don't need extra help. Yes, Andrew Kisner was also bad in this reality, but it didn't really matter because the Rangers got Carson Kelly, and he was also great in this reality. And Chafin, also solid. Well, actually more solid in this reality. The Rangers head into the month of August, the calendar turns, and suddenly the Rangers face some kind of setback for the first time all season. And those people from the future, we borrowed their technology to heal everyone in the world, but more importantly on the 2024 Texas Rangers. They come back and say, hey, you didn't pay for that technology. We're going to need to take it back. And they do. And spoiler alert, this might lead to an injury or two. This show is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always get exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Shout out to the Everydayers for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. In the real reality we live in, the Rangers take on the Pirates today at 1:35 p.m. Central Time, first pitch. You can catch every pitch with the hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Rangers. Now, let's get back to the better reality, the fictional reality where the Texas Rangers, here we are, in the month of August, after having that setback and having the technology stolen, they start August on a little bit of a rough streak, but they do end up winning the first two games of that series, that final series against the Astros, which, spoiler alert, to this point, the Rangers, in this reality, have not lost a single game to the Astros all year long. Enter the final game of that series, seeking to go a perfect 13-0 against Houston. The Rangers find themselves in a dueling perfect game for Max Scherzer and Framber Valdez. Now, Max Scherzer goes out and he finishes the job. He finishes the ninth inning with a perfect game intact. The Rangers just need to get a run to get Max Scherzer his first career perfect game. The first two outs go by in the ninth inning, and Framber Valdez still has a perfect game. Up comes Wyatt Langford to pinch hit for Leody Taveras in the 9-hole. Wyatt was just getting a day off, and Bochy said, hey, why don't you go out there and try and break up a perfect game? And Wyatt says, okay. And he swings through the first two pitches he sees, curveballs in the dirt, down 0-2, battles back, a big battle, 10-pitch at bat, and on the final pitch, old Framber Valdez hangs a curveball. Wyatt Langford hits his first career walk-off home run. Max Scherzer gets the perfect game. The Rangers are 13-0 against the Houston Astros in the year of our Lord 2024. And Max Scherzer just tackles the rookie at home plate for the dog pile. And, something's wrong. Max Scherzer has twisted his ankle. He lands on the IL. And the joyous celebration, Dane Dunning and Tyler Mahle are so excited that they high-five the crap out of each other. And somehow, they end up dislocating both of their thumbs. So 3 pitchers and 1 walk-off home run celebration land on the IL. Thankfully, Wyatt's okay. But the Rangers find themselves in a spot of bother at that point. So up comes the reinforcements, Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker, who have both been healthy and making solid progress all season long. They jump into the rotation. Cody Bradford jumps into the pen as the long man. And, well, the first couple of starts for Jack and Kumar do not go well. The Rangers enter a season-long 5-game losing streak, and things aren't looking great. They are just not looking great at this point, even though things are looking very much fine. It's just the first kind of adversity the Rangers have had all season long, but they break off that skid with a great game from Kumar Rocker, then followed up with another great game from Jack Leiter. 7 innings, 2 runs, 11 strikeouts. Texas loses 1 to Cleveland. They bookend the month with a loss to Cleveland and a loss to Oakland, but in between that, they win 6 straight games. head into the end of August, 18 games up in the AL West at 92-44. Solid record. Things are going great. And out of the gates in September, the Rangers roll off a historic 21-game winning streak. The longest in MLB history. By the way, there's going to be a lot of records set here because it's my reality and that's how I like things. And things are actually going well. And I feel like all of us need to live in this delusion for, 30 minutes or so. For me, it's been a couple of hours of planning of how well this is going to go. But the Rangers end that 21-game winning streak at 21. Don't go any further. Let's not get crazy here. Okay, the Rangers have a fantastic end of September. They have a chance to tie Seattle's record of 116 wins in the regular season. They got 2 games left. They're going against the Angels. Everything's fine. But on the next to last day of the season, with the Rangers sitting at 114 wins, needing both to tie that Mariners record, Mike Trout does Mike Trout things. Has a 6-hit game with 3 home runs and basically single-handedly wins a game for the Angels. It's frustrating. The Rangers are annoyed. They wanted those 116 wins. And, Houston heads into the final day of the season, tied with the Kansas City Royals for that last wild card. And the Royals end up getting an absolute gem from their starting pitcher Seth Lugo in a crazy Bobby Witt Jr. game to beat the Atlanta Braves, putting the pressure on the Houston Astros at that point, who have the best bullpen in the history of the world. Right? Wrong. Facing off against the Cleveland Guardians, that Astros bullpen did what it did a lot early on in this reality of the season, in that they gave up big old leads from those big 3, a tying home run from, of course, the hated Brian Abreu. And then in the bottom of the 10th inning, a wild pitch from Josh Hader, a walk-off win for Cleveland to finish the year at 83 wins, just barely getting themselves a winning record and eliminating the Houston Astros from the playoffs on the final day of the season. Can you imagine it? How much fun Rangers fans would have saying that the Astros celebrated the Rangers not having that 116 wins on the final day of the season and lost themselves on the final day, eliminated themselves from the playoffs, eliminating that streak of 7 straight ALCSs, and, that AL West title had already been cinched up, I believe, September 1st, by my math. So that had already been eliminated. But, oof, what a delicious, delicious streak that would be. And what a way to end it that would be. The Rangers finish up the regular season with 115 wins. They win the West. The Rays, while healthy, because they had a full season of Shane McClanahan and all of the many, many pitchers that they had injured this season, they win the AL East. The Twins win the AL Central. Then the wild card teams are the Orioles, the Yankees, and the Royals. Now, we'll see a couple of those teams in this playoff run, which, spoiler alert, it's going to get dramatic. Maybe even more dramatic than last year, but let's look at the awards that the Texas Rangers win. Corey Seager wraps up his first ever regular season MVP with maybe the greatest season that anyone's ever had in the history of the sport, hitting .378, a 1274 OPS, 77 home runs, 15 WAR. The highest by any position player in the history of baseball. Eat that, Babe Ruth. And of course, Wyatt Langford finishes up as the AL Rookie of the Year, setting an MLB record with 54 home runs as a rookie, just sneaking by that record of 53 set by Pete Alonso back in 2000 and I believe 16, 15, whenever the heck it was. Wyatt Langford comes in and looks absolutely amazing his first year. And of course, a fully healthy Jacob deGrom. The Rangers get 225 innings of Jacob deGrom. And of course, he looks absolutely sensational. Sub-2 ERA, 300 strikeouts. The first Cy Young in the history of the Texas Rangers franchise. Everything is looking up as we head into those playoffs, where Spoiler alert, the Rangers are going to have a rematch in the ALDS. This show is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active users. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus because it's guaranteed. PrizePicks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on PrizePicks. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks. Run your game. Now, let's get into the playoffs. The Rangers are sitting pretty with 115 wins, clearly the #1 overall seed in Major League Baseball, so they earn a bye. No wild card round for them. They just sit there and they wait patiently for who wins between the Orioles and the Yankees, and surprise, surprise, it is the Baltimore Orioles in a rematch of that ALDS that Mr. John Smoltz hated so much. Game 1, Jacob deGrom versus Corbin Burnes. Jacob deGrom, not great. The very first pitch just absolutely leaves a first pitch fastball right down the plate for Gunnar Henderson, who had is having, in this reality and in the one that we actually live in, a fantastic season. First pitch, leadoff triple. Not how you want to start out Game 1 of your playoff run, your first playoff start for the Texas Rangers. But Jacob deGrom goes into full Jacob deGrom mode and says, "Don't worry, I got this," and strikes out the next 15 batters he faces. Meanwhile, the Rangers offense jumps all over Corbin Burnes in Game 1 of that series. Texas easily takes Game 1, heads into Game 2 with Max Scherzer on the hill. And, well, it's a close game, hard-fought game. Back and forth, but of course it ends with a walk-off home run from Corey Seager as John Smoltz sits there furious about what's happening in front of him. Not again, John Smoltz thinks. Not again. Surely I don't have to see this team that I hate for some stupid reason win again. But oh boy, John Smoltz, you are in for a long, long Offtober. The Rangers get to Game 3, just needing one more to win in Baltimore, and it's Nate Eovaldi on the bump for a closeout game. Surely it's not going to be that close. Well, it is. It is a typical Nate Eovaldi playoff start in that he gets himself in quite a few jams, but once he gets into those jams, he is just the best pitcher on the planet in the playoff in a jam. Nobody is better out of wriggling themselves into sometimes self-inflicted jams. Goes 6 innings. The Rangers offense is trying to chip away. Can't quite get there, but eventually they do get into the Orioles bullpen. And as Mr. John Smoltz is talking about how wonderfully talented this Orioles bullpen is, specifically former Ranger Dylan Tate grooves one right over the middle of the plate to Adolis Garcia with the bases juiced for a grand slam. Texas Rangers win in 3, sweep the Orioles, and John Smoltz is furiously giving a glowing eulogy about how bright the future is for the Orioles. The second straight year that they are swept in the ALDS by the Rangers. Texas then heads to the ALCS for a matchup against the Kansas City Royals and hometown kid Bobby Witt Jr. And this is a banger of a series. Game 1, deGrom gives up a 2-run bomb to Bobby Witt Jr. and Cole Reagans comes in with a vengeance against his former team, pitches a complete game shutout. The Rangers are down 1-0 in the ALCS. A 2-0 game. That was all the scoring. Just a Bobby Witt Jr. home run. Scherzer and Evo dominate back-to-back in games 2 and 3. Rangers spot them out to a big early lead, getting to Seth Lugo, and of course getting to Michael Wacha, who is starting in game 3, because that is really what they're going to kind of roll out there in the actual playoffs if the Royals get there. We'll see exactly how that goes. Then in game 4, the Rangers turn to Kumar Rocker for his first career playoff start because the Rangers decided, Mally, we're going to throw you in the bullpen. We're going to let this rookie cook, because he was absolutely cooking down the stretch. And instead of cooking, the rookie gets cooked in his first playoff start. 5 solid innings, but 3 runs, not exactly what the Rangers were hoping for. John Gray and Jack Leiter try and make up for it in relief, but those two also get tagged for a couple of runs, and Kansas City ties the series back up at 2-2. Then, Game 5, Jacob deGrom, very angry about that 2-run bomb he gave up to Bobby Witt Jr., goes 8 shutout innings with a playoff record, 18 strikeouts in Game 5. Cole Reagans is wild, walking a lot, throwing a lot of wild pitches, just isn't quite on his game. The Rangers get to him, tagged for homers by Josh Young, Wyatt Langford, and Adolis Garcia. Game 6, Max Scherzer pitches into the 7th inning, but a 3-run bomb by Salvador Perez sends it to Game 7, where, of course, who do you have on the hill? Nathan Eovaldi, dominant through 7 innings. Evan Carter gives the Rangers on the board with a 2-run triple. Young hits a solo shot off of Cole Reagans in relief, and they also got a couple runs off of a Corey Seager bomb as well, because that's what Corey Seager do. A 5-0 lead with 2 innings left. Surely everything's fine. And no, that is not the case. Excuse me, a 3-run lead. Just the 2-run triple. I'm getting ahead of myself with the Corey Seager home run. We'll see how this goes. But the Rangers bring in Andrew Chafin, and like we've seen him do before, walks 3 straight. David Robertson comes in, gives up a bases-clearing double to Maikel Franco, and then a 2-run shot to Bobby Witt Jr. The Rangers, we've never seen this before, the Rangers in a playoff game head into the bottom of the 9th inning, down 5-3, needing 2 runs and maybe a majestic homer by one of their iconic playoff hitters to tie it up. Well, they flip the script. They get a walk from Marcus Semien and a 2-run game-tying bomb from Adolis Garcia off of Cole Reagans, still pitching in relief to tie it up 5-5. And then, switching how it went in Game 1 of the World Series, and instead of Corey Seager hitting the game-tying bomb in the bottom of the 9th inning and Adolis Garcia hitting the walk-off in the 11th, it is the other way around. Adolis Garcia with that game-tying bomb in the 9th inning. And then Corey Seager with the walk-off homer off of former Ranger great World Series champ, 3-time World Series champ Will Smith, to send Texas to a World Series against who else but the San Diego Padres, of course. Game 1 is a blowout by the Rangers. Jacob deGrom looks amazing, and Dylan Cease is just overwhelmed by this offense, feeling themselves in a big, big way. A pitcher's duel between old man number 1 and old man number 2. Max Scherzer versus Yu Darvish in Game 2 of the World Series. Tatis and Profar combined for 7 hits to sink the Rangers in that one. Evo gets roughed up a little bit, and the Rangers also rough up Joe Musgrove in Game 3. Padres hit, of course, a grand slam, as is the custom of their people, to give them the win in Game 3. The Rangers are down 2-1 in the World Series, and they turn to their rookie, Kumar Rocker, in Game 4, with hopes to tie it up. And Rocker absolutely delivers. 6 shutout innings, looks absolutely nasty in relief. The Rangers are able to give him a little bit of a cushion offensively, win Game 4, head into Game 5, a big Game 5 with, of course, their ace on the hill. deGrom comes in and he shoves, but Cease bounces back after a rough Game 1. Very much a pitcher's duel. Corey Seager gives the Rangers a 2-1 lead in the top of the 9th inning with a 2-run bomb. On comes Kirby Yates in his former home to close out a 1-run game in Game 5 of the World Series, tied 2-2, about as high leverage as you can get. And what does he do? But he gives up a leadoff double to Xander Bogaerts, but then strikes out the next 3 of Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, and Jackson Merrill to win it in San Diego, send the Rangers up a 3-2 lead in Game 6. Max Scherzer pitching well, but shades of 2023 Game 3 of the World Series. He injures his ankle, re-injures that ankle that he injured celebrating his perfect game, and the Rangers have to turn to the bullpen in the third inning. But on comes Jack Leiter. He was also re-injured the ankle, fielding a bunt attempt by Luis Arias, and thus forming an intense hatred by the Rangers fan base of Luis Arias and the bunt in general, which I already had. But Jack Leiter comes in and says, I got you. Everything's fine. Don't worry. Pitches 3 heroic innings of relief. The Rangers are able to add a 2 RBI triple from Wyatt Langford and Evan Carter 2 RBI double. And once again, and Corey Seager 2-run bomb. Texas wins 6-2. Josh Sborz closes it out, getting a curveball in the dirt that Fernando Tatis Jr. swings through. Strike 3. Rangers win back-to-back championships. Everything is perfect. Everything is wonderful. Everything is exactly how it should have gone this year. Alas, that's not the case this year. But if you ever get frustrated with watching the 2024 Rangers in actual reality, maybe you can come back to this episode and think, let's just pretend for a minute we live in a world where things are nice, where things go well for the Rangers, where injuries don't happen, where everything comes up exactly how it's supposed to. Rangers as back-to-back World Series champs and in great position to go for a third in 2025. I hope you enjoyed indulging me in this delusion for 30 minutes. If you didn't, then, well, oh well. Because I needed a little bit of delusion in my life with how this Rangers team is going. A little bit of baseball happiness that we have not had this season. This is definitely a one-off. This is not going to be a recurring thing. But I hope you enjoyed the reprieve from talking about the stinky real reality of 2024 Texas Rangers and enjoyed this alternate history of things going exactly how they should have, at least in my mind. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy World Series champion Texas Rangers baseball.